This is Alex Silverman, soccer reporter for Sports Business Journal, and I am here with Alan Rothenberg from Playfly Premier Partnerships. Alan, thanks for being with me today.
My pleasure.
Such an exciting moment here at the Business of Soccer conference here, our first one. And who better to start things off with than you, the architect of the 1994 World Cup here in the U.S. as we head into the World Cup next year here for 2026 in North America. Tell me, what does this moment feel like compared to that moment?
It's such an opportunity. I mean, 94 was an enormous success, and it really kicked off everything that's happened since then in the last now almost 30 years. And the excitement is building, and I think in 26, it's just going to go through the roof. Obviously, it's bigger. There's more teams. There's more cities. It's such an amazing event, but the organizations of it is totally different than 94. 94, essentially FIFA kept the international marketing and television rights and then turned everything over to us. And so we ran everything. There was a venue director in a city. They reported to us, to me. FIFA now has taken over the running of it. And so they've got 11 different cities in the United States and 3 in Mexico and 2 in Canada, each one of whom has their own committee and their own laws and everything else. And so they don't have that centralized management structure. So it's been probably more chaotic for the local host committees than it was in 94. The advantage, though, in 96 at least, is that you have communities that know soccer, that have facilities. We always had the infrastructure, but it was new to stadiums and everything. Now, basically, they're playing all in NFL stadiums, and all those stadiums have hosted international matches in the past. So it's almost second nature to them, whereas we had people who had never done a soccer match in their stadium in their life. So it was completely different. But I think it's going to be an enormous success. I mean, it can't help but be. So whatever struggles the various host committees have as far as the fans are concerned, it's going to be spectacular. We always have had the great infrastructure. So as far as the teams are concerned, they're going to be staying in nice facilities. And we also have an abundance of training sites that didn't exist in 94. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time that FIFA has kind of taken over from the local organizing committee model and, are running things, like you said, in sort of a centralized manner. How do you think that might manifest itself in what we see in terms of the actual, the product and maybe the opportunities for various stakeholders in the soccer business ecosystem?
I honestly think that it won't have any effect positively or adversely, because I think at the end of the day, it's an amazing event. The fans are going to love it. The teams will have had a good experience. They won't know what difficulties there may have been from the organizer's standpoint. Right. I think FIFA will be able justifiably to claim success, but the model is difficult. I think that they're going to have to make some adjustments in future World Cups to give some more rights to the local. Qatar was basically a family-owned country. Okay, right. You just had to talk to the emir and everything's there. Russia, similarly, and they could underwrite whatever the costs were. They didn't care. But if you're going to go to countries like the United States, where you would find difficulty in underwriting everything, there probably would be benefit to having a little more opportunities for the local organizer to have some revenue to pay for all the expenses, which are enormous. But, they'll take stock when it's over, and I'm sure they'll make adjustments. It's a first-time event for them in this respect. And so, like any new venture, you take a look at the first time it's implemented and decide what to keep and what to discard and what to improve.
Yeah, and I know in your role at Playfly, you are working closely with a number of the host cities. What sort of experiences do you feel like each city is going to be able to put their own stamp on the World Cup experience, or do you think it will be fairly similar from city to city?
Both. I mean, certain parts will be standard. Obviously, the the logo is going to be the same and the branding is going to be the same. But I think each community is trying hard to have their local identity, either some special event or events that relate to their city. Because in some cities, it's not necessarily true, like in New York or Los Angeles, they're tourist attractions on their own. But to, let's say, a Kansas City, it's a great opportunity to showcase your city to the world, because it's not necessarily a normal destination. Well, I know they're going to be doing a lot of good local things to put them on the international map. So yeah, each one will do it differently. And again, since it's not centralized, it will be up to each host committee to decide what to do. And we're trying to counsel those cities that we represent on special events that they might want to do that are locally oriented, so that their brand is prominent and recognized worldwide.
I think one of the big differences, of course, between this event and 1994, as you alluded to, is that this is a tri-national tournament as opposed to it just being the United States. What sort of wrinkles or challenges do you think that kind of throws into things for, whether it be the organizers or the teams that are going to be coming to participate?
There'll be logistical difficulties, obviously, going back and forth. Prior to what's recently happened in the United States, I would say that even though it's three countries, the fact is the relationships between the U.S. and Canada and U.S. and Mexico and Canada was very smooth.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot of current disruption. Hopefully by the summer of 26, things have calmed down and settled down, and it won't be there. But right now, in addition to the logistical issues of transportation and the like, there's this overhang. Is there going to be a difficulty in moving from one country to the other? Certainly hope not.
Right.
We already have an issue in parts of the world because of our visa system. There's parts of the world where it's almost impossible to get a visa. You got to apply 18 months in advance. And obviously for a soccer fan, till you know what the draw is, you're not ready to do that. I mean, I guess fortunately we have visa waivers in most of the countries where the mass populations will come.
Right.
Western Europe and Asia and South America. But there's some countries that are going to be handicapped, and that'll be difficult.
Another difference between 94 and this event is the number of teams. We're up to 48 this time around. What impact on interest and viewership and ticket sales do you think? What will be the impact of having these teams, some of which are not usually involved in tournaments of this size?
I think that the event overwhelms everything, and that we saw that in 94. I remember I got a call after the first match in the group competition from Sepp Blatter. He was astounded that I forgot what country, it might have been Greece or some country, we sold out a first round game. He said, "We've never done that."
Right.
And I said, there's such an interest in the sport in this country that in the event overwhelms it, and people want to have the experience. I mean, in 94, basically we started from scratch and we said, we got to make this a big event, something that, and Americans love big events. So even if they're not soccer fans, what is this? I want to experience it. Now, obviously, we have the advantage that everybody's built in, but this is still the big event, and I can't imagine there'll be any problem. In fact, it just came out last week that at the end of the FIFA Executive Council meeting, somebody proposed a 64 team. I have for years said we should make 64 and do it like the March Madness.
Sure.
Instead of group play, have single elimination. Everybody say, well, it's going to be lousy teams and everything. Well, one of the good things that happened last time around was Morocco going as well as they did.
The semifinals, right?
Yeah. And, we're about to go into March Madness here in this country. And every year there's some lower ranked team that either wins or scares the heck out of the bigger team. But to me, from FIFA standpoint, the more countries that are involved, the greater it is for the sport. Because, if you got a country that can't make the first 24 or 32 or now 48, it's sort of, they don't care.
Right.
Whereas now, the more you have in there, the more countries take it very seriously, and build up to it. So the various confederation championships get more exciting, and obviously the World Cup does. So I'm a big advocate of it. I mean, obviously more games means, again, more organizational and logistical issues, but everybody can overcome that.
And I mean, you'd, I guess, have the potential to bring in some humongous countries that aren't necessarily in the top 32 or 48 soccer countries, but, you know, getting a China involved in the World Cup or an India involved in the World Cup. I mean, that's a massive opportunity for the sport.
No question about it.
From a brand perspective, what are you seeing in terms of how brands are approaching this tournament, the build up to it? Obviously, you have brands that are, you know, massive multinational corporations that are FIFA sponsors, but then there are, you know, brands of various size. What are you seeing in your practice?
You know, again, the issue is on a local basis. It's a question of what categories you can get, because FIFA is understandably taking the plums.
Right.
And so it's really pushing hard to get local organizing, local companies and local people involved to extend their brand. I mean, the main branding, if you will come from the multinationals.
Yep.
And they're already starting. I mean, you can see the TV now, and you'll see ads already about World Cup related to various sort of brands. It's going to be slower, and again, not unlike what we talked about before, it's going to vary from community to community as to what the brands do. I mean, there's some communities where the municipality is sort of doing everything, so the only branding that they care about is their city.
Right.
There's others where they have to involve, for financial reasons, supporters, and so they go to locally based companies that are categories that aren't protected by FIFA, and those people will want to spend and advance their brand. Even if it isn't internationally, it's sort of even the local brand. They're good citizens. They've supported the local event in a big way. So, and that's going to start coming on, I would say, later this year, even the beginning of next year.
Yeah.
Whereas
100 days out, perhaps.
Yeah. Whereas the big internationals, I mean, they plan 10 years ahead, or certainly 4 years ahead in the case of the World Cup. So they've already got their plans on how to activate their sponsorship, whereas the locals will be coming on as time goes by.
Fantastic. Alan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Happy to do it.
For Sports Business Journal, I'm Alex Silverman.